Welcome in, everyone. I'm Renee, the visionary here at the Phoenix Uprising. In this video, you'll see intuitively chosen images, each attuned to the current energy and meant to spark your inner knowing. This is a collective reading, so take what resonates and leave the rest for others. These messages are offered for guidance and inspiration, not as a substitute for professional advice. Let's begin by clearing the space. You'll hear 3 chimes starting now. If you have a question for Source, offer it to the universe and be ready to receive with an open heart and mind. All right, let's begin. I'm hearing mind over matter. I feel like you're in a place where your thoughts feel huge, either working for you or against you. The real test isn't the difficulty of the situation, it's how the mind responds. Does it become a helper or a hurdle? I feel like you might be dealing with something that's causing you to worry and magnify the problems. Or perhaps there's a stubborn belief that this is how it always is, which stops change before it even starts, right? I feel like mind over matter here means using disciplined thought to shift the emotional tone, reframe problems, and move into productive action. For instance, you wake up dreading a difficult conversation. I feel like there's a need to rewrite the script in your head to I'll speak my truth with calm. And maybe that conversation will land better than expected. Or maybe you're exhausted at work, and instead of sinking into defeat, you create a micro plan, 2 focused 25-minute blocks, and you accomplish more than you expected. Where does your inner narrative feel louder than the facts? What is one reoccurring thought that keeps you stuck? What would you tell a friend who had that same thought? I know I say this a lot on the channel, but I feel like it would help you to start journaling, because writing pulls the thought out of your head so that you can examine it more closely. There's something about seeing the words on paper that makes connections easier. With this sunrise, I feel like there's a new perspective and a fresh start available. The sun comes up every morning without fail, and every day can be a fresh start if you choose that. I feel like this is signaling presence and inner regulation. Deep breathing is an excellent tool for calming the mind. With this key, I feel like this talks about wisdom and action unlocking the solutions. Knowledge combined with a key move to open doors. If you feel stuck, the journal is your friend. There's a need to breathe or take a pause, and that is a sign to stop reacting and choose your responses carefully. You already know an answer deep down, and this is a cue to trust that stored wisdom within you. There's a need for you to just try or begin. I feel like Spirit is encouraging you to test a small action rather than having to wait for perfect certainty about a situation before you move forward. For our spirit animal allies, I see the crow and the jellyfish. Well, crows are intelligent. They can recognize patterns, and they're typically associated with bearing messages. What the crow is saying here is there's a creative way to solve the problem that you have, using resourcefulness to reframe obstacles into tools. Crows are pattern spotters. They find hidden solutions by putting pieces together that others miss. For example, I feel like if you keep hitting the same snag in a project, right? The crow energy invites you to take a step back and look for a small pattern that you may have missed. It could be a recurring time that you get blocked, or there's a person who triggers hesitation. That gives you the opportunity to correct that pattern, and I feel like the whole process will run smoother. What tiny pattern keeps repeating for you? Where does the same thing show up again and again? The jellyfish. I feel like the jellyfish is about flow and surrender. Jellyfish let the currents carry them. I feel like there's a need for you to relax and let the current carry you. You are softening your resistance so that insight can arrive. When you're forcing outcomes in a relationship or a job, I feel like this is suggesting to soften your control. Where are you pushing so hard that you could instead try yielding for one moment and just see what happens, right? I feel like you're being called to spot the patterns and plan a test, a small test. You're going to need flexibility while this test unfolds. You could pick one stubborn problem, spend 10 minutes spotting the pattern. Then, for the next 24 hours, practice soft responses instead of force, and journal what has changed. For your plant allies, I see sage and lotus. Sage is about clearing. It's used for mental decluttering, smoke clearing rituals, sage tea, or clearing gestures to help remove mental fog and negative loops. There could be a need for you to either smudge your house or maybe even your place of work, especially before you're tackling a heavy task at work. The lotus is about rising and resilience. It reminds us that clarity emerges from muddy places. Think about where lotus grow. Ponds. Your growth is the proof that mind over matter works. Use the lotus imagery in meditation when you need encouragement to rise above repetitive thinking. Chrysocolla is known to soothe the throat and mind. It supports calm expression, right? It helps translate heavy thoughts into gentle truths. It's especially helpful when you need to speak a truth that's been stuck, or to quiet those internal critical loops in your mind. Spirit is saying to hold chrysocolla for 2 or 3 minutes before a tough conversation. Remember to breathe and repeat a short intention like, I speak my truth with calmness. Notice how your tone changes. I'm seeing the Strength card, the Ace of Swords, and the Two of Pentacles. Strength card is about inner composure as practical power. You're being encouraged to regulate your emotions, to have patience, to be gentle on yourself, and to have courage to speak your mind. Have courage to show up for yourself. Believe that you can accomplish your goals. Showing up consistently at work or for yourself, even when your motivation fades, that is literally the meaning of mind over matter. Think about a recent situation that you've gone through. How would you respond differently if patience and calmness were your first move? The Ace of Swords talks about breakthrough, clarity, and truthful action. This could be talking about a mental breakthrough, clear thoughts that cut through confusion, having decisive speech. If we're talking about work, this could be one sentence of honest feedback to a collaborator on a project that clears a month of misunderstandings, right? A personal reframe for you is I choose to try again, right? That shifts how you show up the next time. The Two of Pentacles talks about balance and motion and skillful juggling, right? Juggling multiple things at once. This talks about flexibility and resilience through practical juggling of priorities, the things that you do every day. I feel like something that could really help you is time blocking to allocate your energy, right? You can do 2 focused work sessions, then family time, instead of multitasking all the time and getting burnt out. Being able to juggle multiple things, but at some point, if you keep adding, it's going to be too much and you're going to drop everything. If you are continually flying by the seat of your pants, you have no plan of action, you haven't given much thought to how things are going to come together or how you're going to realize your goals. It's no wonder that you get frustrated when you come to a dead standstill and you don't know what to do next. I feel like there's a need to replace these scarcity mindset scripts that have been turning over in your mind with specific intentions. Instead of saying, I never have enough, try, I will notice and save one small windfall this week. If you get one small thing under your belt, it can create momentum, right? I feel like micro saving is a habit that you could implement, especially during the summer. You could save small amounts weekly to fund a course or get a tool or a marketing push. That could be a small ritual that will rewire that scarcity thinking, because it's forward movement that you can see. Our brains tend to like results that we can see, right? That's what motivates us. I feel like there's a need to audit subscriptions and the automatic drains that we all seem to have, right? How can you reduce things that you don't use or they're not benefiting you really? For me, it was video streaming subscriptions, right? I had at least 3 or 4, and I'm telling you, I spent more time going through things to watch than I did actually watching anything. By the time that I'd scrolled for 10 or 20 minutes trying to find something to watch, I was over it. You know what I mean? I just shut the app and just went to do something else. So that's how I cut funds that I could allocate somewhere else that would be more productive. It doesn't matter how small it is. You know, if you buy coffee every day, that adds up during the week. Skip a day or two. Make a smoothie from home and bring it, or start making your coffee at home. I did that. One, I know what's going into it because those extra calories weren't helping me either. That's a 2-fold savings right there. I was just getting it from McDonald's. But even that's $2 or $3, right? And if you do that every day, you know, it adds up. It's a little bit, but it's something. It's money that you can see accumulating. It's something you can see with your eyes. The next step would be allocating it to something useful. Now that I haven't gotten to yet. It's sitting in a binder. I've been watching all of those videos about cash stuffing. Maybe that's something you need to look into too. My point is, a lot of money goes out the door that you really don't think about. And if you sit down and journal, let's talk about journaling. Let's journal our finances, shall we? When you start writing down every dime that you spend, you will quickly see that even if you're on a fixed income or you don't have a lot of money, there is money going out, I guarantee you, that could be saved and rerouted for something more productive. That's for somebody out there. It doesn't matter how small you start, just start. It doesn't matter if you know where the allocation of those funds is going to go. Maybe Spirit hasn't revealed that to you yet, right? But wouldn't it be nice to have a little money saved up for whatever that is in advance? Sure it would. Moving on. I'm seeing 888. Anytime that I think of eights, I always see the infinity symbol. To me, that talks about whatever goes out comes back, right? And that's a loop that goes over and over infinitely. Whatever you're putting out is what will come back. If you're putting out doubt, if you're putting out lack, scarcity, that's what will come back to you. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. When you speak death over your life, I'm never going to have enough. I'm never going to have enough money to move. I'm never going to get into shape. Well, if those are the things that you speak over your life, then you're correct. What you put out comes back to you. Your words matter. The 8 represents perpetual energy, exchange, putting out, flowing back to you. Watch what you're putting out there. Watch what you say. If your mind can literally trump matter, that should tell you that it's not always just about what you say, it's about what you think too. When you get caught up in those loops of negative self-talk in your head, mind over matter means that infinite loop is your mind telling the universe what you want to bring down into the 3D or matter. The mental clarity and small practical actions that you will take now, that's not a single event, right? They flow into that feedback loop that returns resources, opportunities, and stability. Mindful thought plus consistent action equals a compounding return on whatever it is that you're putting out there, right? A time frame for some forward movement, I feel like it's definitely summer. Why summer? That is when energy is externalized, right? I feel like mind over matter is not about magic, really. It's practice. The strength talks about steady forward movement. The Ace of Swords is the clarifier, right? We have to be able to see things clearly, what's working, what isn't. And the Two of Pentacles is teaching you how to juggle or how to multitask without burning out. There's a need to spot the patterns that keep you stuck. Implementing the use of the chrysocolla will steady your voice. And if you're seeing 888, that is a direct nudge that your effort will compound. What you put out comes back. I feel like there's a real need to test some small things, saving tiny amounts of money, and trust that your mind plus steady action will return you abundance. Spirit is saying for the next 7 days, pick one thought to reframe, or one tiny financial habit to start, one moment to practice softness as a response instead of force. And just notice what changes. Write down in your journal what has changed. Just from those small implementations, what changes? May you be highly favored and abundant in all good things. I'd like to leave you with today's food for thought quote. Your life is a reflection of your thoughts. If you change your thinking, you change your life. Brian Tracy. Stay true to yourself, trust the journey, and step boldly into your next chapter. Only up from here, and together we rise.